Today is August 3rd, 2018. Get ready for the Emergency Broadcast System, the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. And special thanks to YouTube.com for your hosting the Forbidden History series. And hello, Lynn. Thank you for the heads up. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFT is a private society. Nothing here is there to be construed as medical nor legal advice, nor hate speech. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on therealpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way, twice a day, 7 days a week, 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on therealpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. Stand by for the broadcast. You did tell your friends? Thank you for doing that. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and the heart of Amish country, at the Lighthouse in Free America Radio Network, in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. This is the Forbidden History series. The words that kill, symbolism, the duality revealed, the ABCs of light, the history of the church. What do you want, ladies and gentlemen? It's all right here. We are the deprogramming program who can set the record straight. Hey there, Sandra, down in Australia. Pretty soon we're going to be down under and you're going to be on top, I think, if things keep going that way, because it is the battle for the mind. The truth is light, but ignorance is darkness, and these are the great antagonists that are antithetical, the one against the other. Once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things as they really are, then we can begin to comprehend there is nothing really more to complain about. We're just going to have to learn how to deal with our reality. And if you don't know where you're going, then you can take any road and get there. But you don't know where you're going. You know, the best way to identify the truth is to identify the great lies of history, and that's what we do right here. When a lie is repeated long enough, it becomes the truth. It is easier to lie to people than it is to convince them that they have been lied to. What planet are we on? History is a set of lies that have been agreed upon in advance. That's Napoleon Bonaparte. You think he knew something? We will know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American people believe is a lie. William Casey, CIA director, ended up face down in Potomac River. Go figure, right? I guess that was his retirement, right? And I love this one. Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we. George Bush Jr., one of the key instruments in the takedown of 3,000 Americans on September 11th, 2001. The President of the United States in on the takedown of the American people, ladies and gentlemen. No different than Illuminati family member Roosevelt, who knew that Japan was going to attack because that was a new world order plan. And so let's let him bomb some old Navy ships with about 2,000 sailors on board. But don't touch the oil fields, okay? Don't touch the oil fields because we need them to, operate for the rest of the war. So, the greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Forbidden History series. What they didn't know, what we tell right here, and I'm your host, Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night. And I think I could use another beer. It is the custom from ancient time for the priesthoods not to reveal their primary code. Okay, it's a code. It's a secret code. Code means secret. So they like to refer to the the U.S. code, right? But the code is not law. Code means secret. They're hiding the law in the code, and you got to go back to the original if you want to take it to court. But they're not going to tell you that. Ha 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 ha. No, we're not. You figured it out yourself, slave. In the future, men will have to be bilingual. That's Maximus, former Caesar. The great lies of history, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it a wonderful world, Mr. Smith? What can we do? All we can do is pig Latin. That's right, Sandra. We're speaking the worst pig Latin anybody ever wanted to speak, and yet they think they're the most sophisticated at the same time. We've got a special report coming up in just about 4 minutes. We should have a phone call from Sundog. She's going to. She took some profound pictures today of her trees in her front yard, and then I went ahead and showed her the trees in my front yard. And so we're going to just compare notes real quick before we get into our special, which is the second all-time classic by Stephen Jacobson. We did the first one 2 days ago, Mind Control in America, exposing the strategy to manipulate your mind. But tonight we're going to do Wake Up America, and that includes the rest of the world because it's the same game that's being played everywhere. Wake Up America, exposing the deception of modern, funny money. It's a classic. You got to hear it, and then you will know. Then you will know the true nature of funny money and what they didn't teach us in school, what we were supposed to. But Stephen Jacob does it all in 1 hour. It's a classic because he did TV and commercials up in New York City, made big money, walked away from it all to tell the truth. Okay, a noble character, and yeah, it's a crazy world, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to call in, you have a comment or a question, or an argument or a complaint, whatever, our phone number is 608-566-7295. 608-566-7295. I'd love to hear a great lie of history. If you figured out a great lie that we need to wrap our minds around, or a word that they killed us with, or a word that has a double oxywampus that goes along with it, one of those things, then let's hear it, okay? Because this is open forum, and we're trying to just make sense out of an insane world, a psychopathic world where a bunch of people are working overtime to kill us, and they knew some of us would figure it out, especially those who got too close to the frying pan. Ooh, that's a little hot over there, isn't it? Yeah, I guess they're cooking up something special for you. Well, and then those people that get too close to the cooker, they get rid of them, little by little, just like William Casey. I mean, come on, the guy was a successful CIA, head of CIA, and then he ends up face down in the Potomac River. Do you think he had a wake-up call, or do you think he just got thirsty? I don't know what it is, but these people, there's no honor among thieves, they're just out for themselves somehow. Well, we can get the picture by looking at certain movies. They tell us in the movies, actually, but nobody gets the picture. They go there to get the picture, but they never get the picture. And like in what was it, 2001 Space Odyssey, or the sequel, 2010? I think it's the sequel, but I can't remember now, but I remember the ending very well. Oh, and it looks like we've got special call coming in. Stand by. Sundog, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Now, do you want to, can I call you by your first name, or you just want to go by your YouTube name?
Oh, no, Shannon's fine.
Okay, we got Shannon from the District of Criminals, and she's still surviving. I can't get over it. It's a rough place to live. It's the most dangerous citadel in America, I think, and where they've outlawed handguns, and they got more handguns going off than anywhere else. Basically, right, Shannon?
Yeah, it's just a difficult place to live anyway. It's really expensive. Like, I just have a 3-bedroom house built in the early 80s, and it's appraised by my county at $500,000. So that's the kind of ball game you got to play when you live here, or you're going to live in poverty. It's tough. It's hard.
Yeah, I hear you. I've got to turn off.
I'm not educated, so I'm out here working still, huffing it, walking dogs.
Yeah.
At 9:30 at night, and that's what it takes to live here.
That puts new meaning on Sundog too, then, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's my profession as well. I own a dog walking pet sitting company here in Alexandria, Virginia.
Right. Real quick, tell people your channel, and I'm going to turn off that air conditioner. I'll be right back.
Okay. I have a channel, Sundog in DC. It's a small channel, but just observations on nature and kind of some cute videos with everything from eagles to dogs, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good.
Sky observation.
Say that again.
Sky observation.
Sky. You're right. Right. Well, you're a sky watcher, and you're. That's how we connected. I was ended up going to your channel, and you were also being infiltrated by those funny people that come around to everybody's channel, and I was admiring you for actually trying to reason with this one particular funny character on your channel, and I'm thinking, gee, I would have just deleted this guy, but she's actually trying to reason with him, and while he's beating up Higher Truth Channel, this one of the most important channels on YouTube.com, Higher Truth Channel, and this guy made it his special objective to attack the guy that was actually revealing the actual severity of UVB and UVC radiation, Shannon. So hats off to you. That's when I really admired you, because you actually thought you could reason with these people.
I was new enough to think I could. I just started YouTube. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, hey, why are you saying that? Let me defend this. No, no, it's a whole different league. That guy who was after me, who's been after a lot of people, he's out of New Zealand. That's why he can't be prosecuted.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, the Dunster guy, Dun something 5. Yeah, Dunster. He has. In fact, I did block him, and then I had to block him again because he's got 2 channels with the same name. Yeah, he's a bad dude. He threatened catfish glass. He threatened his kids. Yeah. He tried to prosecute him, but he's in New Zealand, which is, I guess, where we can't prosecute.
I see. Okay, now Shannon, realize that you're. I boosted my audio as much as possible. Just get speak up as much as possible to be strong on your voice, so we can balance out. I don't want to overbear. And so today you produced a very important YouTube that showed the trees in your front yard, if I got the location correctly, and it was pretty much a mind blower. And you sized it up by the different trees, got more shade during the day, but this one got all the sun. You want to elaborate on this?
Sure. Can you hear me better like this?
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. It's just in the neighborhood by my home. I had to walk a dog by here every day for 2 weeks, and I was noticing that the leaves that got sun during the day were dying, and the rest of the tree was just fine. So then I investigated further, and normally with a dead branch, the branch dies and the leaves die. So when you had dead leaves, if you go to break the branch, it's really brittle. Well, I went to break the branch, and it wouldn't break. It was very healthy and bright green on the inside. So we've got leaves drying and dying on completely normal, healthy branches.
Right, right. And so you really you know, sized it up with the fact that the other trees got partial shade, and but then the you know, the tree that was directly in the sun all day long literally fried. The branches were still green. You couldn't break them easily, and but yet the, you know, the leaves were all dry. And so, you know, then I texted you a picture today of the tree outside just to confirm for you that you know, it's you know, it's everywhere. It's in my backyard. And so that one particular tree I took a picture of because I've been noticing it every time I go out, since it's right next to my steps. And what I noticed was that, and it's not a, you know, a giant tree. It's like a 7 foot, 10 foot, maybe 10 foot tree that is very rounded, like a you know, with long branches. I don't know what kind of tree it is, and then, you know, oval shape green leaves on it. And what I noticed all the time walking past it is that the top half, all of the branches that would normally be reaching up towards the sky, they had all wilted over and were drooping down the entire circumference of the plant, and that basically all of the leaves on the branches, although they didn't turn brown, they were all you know, dehydrated and therefore curled. They were all curled, still green, but then the ones that were below, the half that was below, because it was protected from the half that was on top, was of a much better quality and doing much better. But the top half was absolutely frying in the microwave. That's what it was doing.
Yeah, and it's unnatural because I'm noticing plants growing away from the sun instead of towards it. Like I have crops, like I showed you as well. And instead of plants normally will grow out, reaching out to get sun, my plants are growing into the shade. And that's what I did this year. I put all of my crops under a big tree limb, and they're living, and anything sticking out from that tree limb is fried. I have a video of it also.
Right, and so you actually noticed that the flowers that normally would follow the sun direction actually turning away from the sun?
Yes, I set up trellises so that they would grow towards the sun, thinking, hey, they're in the shade all day. Even though that was working, let me see if they want to grow towards the sun, and they wouldn't go up the trellises. They would go away from the trellises towards the shade.
Okay, and so I've got outside last summer, you know, I had a one of, you know, those garbage cans that have wheels on them, you know, pre-designed by the city, and then and so I decided, rather than pulling it out all the time, I put it right there on the front of the street and left it there. I got tired of, you know, going you know, forgetting the garbage day and then having to, you know, let the garbage build up. So I just left it on the street like other people do, and then my landlord was going to switch out the service, and I was going to use something in the back, in the alley, for the garbage dispenser. And so I only left that garbage can out there for about 2 months. And so all, you know, it was on thick grass, and all the grass is there on the, you know, the side next to the sidewalk in the street. And so it's real thick. It's been there for, you know, years, you know, 100, couple hundred years. There's been grass growing there. And so the roots are deep. And that's my point. But in those, you know, 2.5 months, 3 months max, I left the garbage can there. That grass died off because it wasn't getting, you know, any sunlight. And then when the garbage can was now gone, after only 3 months of covering the ground, and that was last September, October. So almost a year now, the grass still has not come back. And I attribute it to the fact that the tender little shoots cannot tolerate the sun. Only the grass that's thick and aged is able to stay there. But the new grass won't come in. It won't come in.
Deeply rooted, you know. Yeah, well, you know.
So
that says a lot.
Yeah, and so the reason I wanted to bring you on today is so that we could compare notes again with our friends, because I know that they look closely around their house, and I only talked about one tree, you know, and the grass, but it's the evergreens that are out front, half dead, okay, on the side, the holly bush, you know, where it's not getting direct sunlight, also curling and browning on the leaves, the holly bush, you know, so I'm just. I'm sorry?
Virginia. A lot of pines died in Virginia, And at first I'm like, well, it looks like drought, but this was in the spring when we were getting a lot of rain. So I don't know what's up with that, but we're losing a lot of pines here.
Yeah, no. In fact, down, at the two blocks down at the railroad station, which now is the Amish Trail where I'm at, the beautiful green grass in the entire field is turning brown. And we got a picture from Germany, a week or two ago, and all the grass in this beautiful, nature area is all burned up. They're having record heat over there. And we're getting rain over here too. So it's not a drought. It's the sun that's burning everything up. And so when you're talking evergreens, well, go do a Google search for the Sierra Mountains. All right. In California, the Sierra Mountains, all the ponderosa pines or whatever they are on the side of the mountains, all burned up. And so I finally concluded with all of these fires going around, Shannon, within New Mexico, Colorado, California, you name it, Oregon, Washington, I concluded that not only are these trees ripe for fire, especially with the aluminum and the other dust that's been falling down on them, but they would really like all these trees to burn up, because then it will destroy the evidence of what is happening with all the trees, like on the side of the Sierra Mountains, dead. Never do they die in a drought. They just stop growing. You can watch the tree rings of the weather cycles from 100 years back and more, And so they're destroying, they're burning up our forest, and not only will it destroy the evidence, but people won't be able to build houses anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't my house. These trees were in front of someone else's house, and they were getting out, with their Wegmans bag. They got their organic food. They're getting out of the Prius. And I drew their attention to the trees. I'm like, look, this is the tree that's in the sun all day. Look what's happening. Oh, yeah, that's too bad. And they walk on it. They didn't even want to see. So this is 1 out of 3 trees that's dying. And what I see is, what if 1 out of every 3 trees is dying? How are we going to breathe? Only 1 or 2 out of 3 people are going to be able to breathe, is the way I see it.
Well, it's okay, because they've destroyed the ozone layer and we're all going to burn up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Yeah,
we have so many tree huggers. I see everybody, all these activists.
Yeah, where are the tree huggers when we need them, right? So Martha Duncan, forgive me for interrupting. Martha Duncan, because these things are going by fast. Martha Duncan in Canada says, my shade garden is the only garden thriving. So I guess she's doing something right, but I guess the implication is her neighbors are not doing too well.
Yeah, and let me just put that out there. If you want to grow a garden, a shade box is a great idea. See, I didn't know this. I'm the kind of person who knows how little they don't know, and when I'm told to do something by a higher source, I do it. I don't even question it. So I was told to put my plants under the big lemon to grow, for the first time in my life, crops in the shade. And let me tell you, it worked. So if you want crops to work, I would suggest at least 75% of the time keep them in the shade, or get a shade box. Because if you Google or YouTube shade boxes, people are talking about them all over the country, how well they're working.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously an open secret, and people are waking up every day to what's going on. I don't get out much, but the few people I've tried to talk to about it, the Rise Rollback, or they suddenly stand like they're a deer in the headlight and don't know what to say. So I pretty well backed off, outside, talking to regular people, because I'm in a new area. I don't know many people here, and I don't want to get labeled as maybe we need to help this guy out type of thing. So I'm just doing the broadcast and hoping that we can provide fuel to our friends to know how imminent our situation is, how they need to protect themselves, and also perhaps even with their own YouTube channels, wake up their friends, right?
Yeah. You got to hit them with some truths before you can show them you're crazy, I guess.
Yeah. I just I see the only thing we have is to just hunker down and to be prepared for the worst, to do all contingencies. The party's over. We've just got to, it's the code word is survival, and that's all we can be prepared for now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Christian, but I'm also a Patawomic Indian, and there's different prophecy. A lot of it does align with the Bible, but there are the warriors of the rainbow that the Hopi and other prophecies talk about, and they're the people who are going to be left to fight for humanity, to fight for Mother Earth, and I'm sure there's somewhere in the Bible that must say something, maybe the third that's left. I don't know, but and we make our own destiny. So if you're going to be that warrior of the rainbow, then become it now and start living it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Well, it's not that we're not to we want to go on. We want to protect our families, but at least to acknowledge the truth and to do all things to prepare. That's all we can be informed. That's basically all we can do. But the diversions are the political stage they've created for us. The next war, this war, that operation, all of that Washington D.C. nonsense is all theater, all stage, and the only thing that's relevant now is what's up in the air and what's up in the sky, and what's raining down on our heads and on these trees. So just being prepared, and to still have fun with family, and with the little ones, not to give them just doom and gloom. We want to give them hope, and but to spend more time with them, and to love them the way we're supposed to. Just that's about and to appreciate, therefore, everything we have now. Every day we have is a very special moment, because no matter where we're going, they wanted us dead anyway, but it looks like they just totally forgive the French, screwed up this time with their sky spraying, and it looks like that the aerosol spraying is ultimately what has destroyed the ozone layer. And it was a report that was published by a group of scientists that Higher Truth Channel put on his channel, and he showed that these professional scientists actually admitted that it was in their white paper, that it was the chemical aerosol spraying that has destroyed up to 80 or 90% of the ozone layer.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely spraying. Why they're spraying, whether it is to kill us or save us or hide something, I have no idea. But there are ways to prepare. I mean, there's very easy ways to prepare. Like, I turned my fish tank, I have a 125-gallon fish tank, into a tilapia breeding tank. So I'm not just preparing, I'm preparing to share. I'm gonna, if I can figure out with my husband some sort of a water wheel system to keep oxygen in the water when the power runs out, then I can provide anyone around me with tilapia. And then a bag of pool shock. Think of what it does to a pool. What's it going to do to what? Like a teaspoon of it is 2 gallons of water. It will purify water. There's so many little tricks, tools you'll need, like a saw blade, a file, and nails. Those are 3 things that you can make anything from, but are very, very hard to make.
Yeah.
So you have those 3 things. You can make anything you need. Buy all the guns you want if that's what you're into. What I bought nails and I bought teeth, because just like we have, the societies have for time. I'm not going to fight. I'm going to barter.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's just the way I look at it.
No.
For as long as I can, I guess, until poof and I'm gone. But
No, you're doing good. Everybody has a different approach to their situation, and there's no easy. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess you can go willingly or fight it to the very end. I guess it's all about who you are and how much you've already tolerated.
Right. Well, I shed no tears for what's going down. I feel sorry for the people who are not prepared, who are totally ignorant, and and they've got family, they've got little ones that they love, and the being so caught up in the drama of the illusion of the Matrix. It's just really sad that to know the score, and to know how short our time is, and that we are eternal beings. That's what's really important, because we the good news is we can transcend from here and go to a better place, actually, which is our our primordial origin, back to the spirit, and so that's the good news. But we have to be prepared for that. So that's why I've been trying to do the lost writings and the forbidden history, because I'm trying to help people to get the connection with so much that they've hidden from us, and to make those connections. So that's that's what I'm trying to do. And
I really think that some people are destined to wake up and some people aren't. Like I'm my husband, he's a couple of years younger than me, and I don't know if that's what makes the difference, but I'll show him a Jeffrey McGahab video where I'm like, oh my gosh, he doesn't see it. He can't see it. I see him trying to see it.
Yeah.
He just can't see it. It's not within him. And believe me, I've tried. He's going to Oregon for a wedding in 3 weeks, and we all know what's going on out there. And I've been trying since February to dissuade him, but he just doesn't see it, and he won't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, everyone has their moment when something happens, and so it's very possible, especially since you've primed him, that he can, have a good eyeful one day and realize what he's looking at. So it's just that one moment that'll change it. You primed him. That's all you can do.
I'm trying. I am trying.
So, well, anyway, I'm so grateful you came on today and shared with us. I'm just trying to encourage people to share with us what they're looking at out there and to compare notes. So anybody else, if you got bushes dying, I'd like to have you call in. We can talk about bushes just for a quick call. I think that around everybody's home, if we take a look, we're going to see the same thing. And that was the last thing I said to the last lady I talked to here in town. When I realized she wasn't going to even go to a YouTube to check it out for the benefit of her own family, I said, well, okay, you can do a Google search, but just go look around your house. Just go look around your house, and you'll probably see some plants not doing too well, and that'll be the indicator, okay? So I think that was the good thing to say at the end, because when she sees those bushes not doing too well, she'll remember me and what I said,
Hopefully. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and to all you guys out there, Desert is a great guy. I mean, as soon as I met him, he came on my channel, was just so nice to me, and he's one of these people that are givers, and he will give and give and give. He's not getting paid to do all the work he does unless you guys contribute, and he's a great guy. He's a really good guy. I would definitely tune into his shows. He knows a lot, especially about deciphering symbols and words and letters, stuff we really, really need to know.
Thank you for that, Shannon, so much. And so you can call in anytime, and love to hear from you, and enjoy your effort and your channels. So we'll be staying in touch, and hope to hear from you again real soon. Okay.
Bye, Desert.
Peace and love. Bye-bye. Okay.
Bye-bye.
And that was Shannon, Sun Dog in DC, and a wonderful friend of our network now, and she's a pretty busy gal, and I wish I had that energy still. I'm working on my reserves, and okay, so we're going to now do a special presentation. I'm going to read the last message here from Sandra. Let's see what that is. They even stop us gathering ground forest wood to reduce the fueling of fire. Oh, geez. Yeah, don't gather wood, but so much stuff and so thick. They knew and know exactly what they've been doing. Still murder in my book. Yeah, that's premeditated, isn't it? So yeah, thank you for the insight there. And yeah, it's a part of that Masonic disorder. They took a secret handshake and a blood oath, and then all of a sudden they do whatever their Grand Poobah tells them to do, because Grand Poobah is the Poobah. The Poobah. And hey, Ninja, good to have you. And but yeah, it's amazing what people will do for a little prestige and a little bit of stroking on their head. Nice little doggy, right? And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it's sick. So let's change course here, and now I'm going to bring you Wake Up America, exposing the deception of modern money, and it's Wake Up World, okay? It's no different anywhere else. Wake Up World. Stephen Jacobson, my good buddy, and who's paid a price to produce this material, and he don't have a home today, okay? And he's toughing it out just like so many of our patriotic friends. All right, so he's earned your your attention, and his website is still there, but I don't think you can get the CDs anymore. But you can share this audio, because you'll know where to get it, and you can share it with a friend. Okay, Wake Up America, Wake Up World. Get ready. Exposing the deception of modern money with Stephen Jacobson. What they didn't want you to know, and they didn't teach you in school, but we tell right here because somebody's got to do it.
The problems in America are the result of people being led to believe things that are not true. America has been lulled into a deep sleep, and it is now time to wake up. Wake up, America. Psychological warfare is being waged against an unsuspecting public. As in any war, the most powerful weapon of all, and the least understood by those who need to know, is money. In a letter to Thomas Jefferson in 1787, John Adams wrote,
"All the perplexities, confusion, and distress in America arise not from defects of the Constitution, not from want of honor or virtue, so much as from downright ignorance of the nature of coin, credit, and circulation."
What was true then is even more true today. Confusion surrounds the very meaning of the words money, dollar, wealth, inflation, and credit. Add to this widespread public ignorance and confusion concerning tax laws, and you have a system designed to control and enslave the population. The money system operates in a way that would astound most Americans if they only knew how it worked. A dishonest money system is at the very heart of America's economic and social problems. The degree to which the money system is corrupt is the degree to which all other areas of society are corrupted. Money is the builder or destroyer of society. An honest money system brings prosperity to all citizens. A dishonest one enriches a few at the expense of everyone else. If a group of men were able to gain control over the money system of a nation, would they not be masters of that nation? If they had unlimited power to create unlimited amounts of money, could they not direct the course of society and all of its institutions? If their alliance encompassed the length and breadth of the globe, would they not be masters of the world? On November 22, 1910, the nation's leading bankers left by train at night from Hoboken, New Jersey, on a secret mission to Jekyll Island, Georgia. Their mission to create what was to become the Federal Reserve System. The essence of psychological warfare is to confuse the meaning of words and infiltrate the mind with conflicting concepts. Use of the word federal in the name Federal Reserve leads the public to believe that the Federal Reserve is a government institution. Contrary to this misleading use of language, the Fed, as it is commonly called, is a private corporation owned by foreign and domestic banks and operated for profit. The Fed controls the nation's money supply and interest rates, and thereby manipulates the entire economy, in violation of Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution, that expressly charges Congress with
power to coin money and regulate the value thereof.
Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution says,
"No state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts."
Gold and silver coin were taken out of circulation, removed as backing for our currency, and replaced with monetized debt. In other words, credit. Credit exists only in the mind. It is not a substance, but an idea represented by bookkeeping entries and computer symbols. In the book 1984, George Orwell warned that people were in danger of losing their freedom without being aware of it while it was happening because of psychological, emotional, and intellectual manipulation, mind control. The manipulation of words and their meaning is the key to controlling what people think. Orwell called the redefining of words newspeak, where traditional definitions are eliminated while new meanings are repeated over and over again until accepted. The definition of the word dollar has undergone such a transformation to hide the fact that it is not money, but a unit of measurement for gold and silver coin. Title 12, United States Code, Section 152 states,
"The terms lawful money or lawful money of the United States shall be construed to mean gold or silver coin of the United States."
Title 31, United States Code, Section 371 says,
"The money of account of the United States shall be expressed in dollars."
A dollar is not money. It is the expression of money. The money of account of the United States is gold and silver coin. A dollar is a unit of measurement, like an inch or a quart or a mile. Congress, in the Coinage Act of 1792, fixed the dollar as a specific weight of silver in the form of a coin, and fixed the value of a gold coin in relation to the dollar unit of silver. If there are no gold and silver coins, there are no dollars of anything. Dollars cannot be money any more than quarts can be milk. A unit of measurement cannot replace or become the thing for which it is the measure. However, in the mind of the public, this is exactly what has happened. People have been led to believe that a dollar is both money and a measure of it. This is what George Orwell called doublethink, where the mind is infiltrated with conflicting concepts, unawares. Centuries ago, it became common practice for people to store their gold in the vault of the local goldsmith for a fee. The goldsmith would give the depositor a receipt for the amount of gold stored for safekeeping. The receipt was not money, but a money substitute. It also became common practice for people to exchange these warehouse receipts with one another for goods and services as if they were money, since the receipts could be redeemed for the gold held in storage. The goldsmith soon discovered that only a small percentage of the gold stored in his vault was ever reclaimed. He began issuing receipts for more gold than he had, using some of them himself to buy things, and loaning the rest at interest while taking title to real property as collateral. In either case, there was no gold in the vault for these extra receipts. By increasing the quantity of the money substitute, the goldsmith had stolen from the holders of legitimate receipts, the value of which was reduced by the number of fraudulent receipts issued. Paper currency, a money substitute, is honest only when the real money for which it is a substitute equals the number of receipts in circulation. By manipulating the number of receipts in circulation, the goldsmith quietly confiscated the wealth of the community without anyone being aware of what was happening. By reducing the number of receipts, he could make money scarce, causing a depression where he could foreclose on property and increase his wealth. He could then stimulate economic activity and bring prosperity by increasing the number of receipts until the next cycle of plunder. All of America's economic problems originate with the practice of issuing fraudulent receipts for gold that does not exist. This practice became standard operating procedure for the banking establishment. The modern-day counterpart to the warehouse receipt for gold is the Federal Reserve note. Remember, the essence of psychological warfare is to confuse the meaning of words. The word federal implies federal government, but the Federal Reserve is a privately owned corporation. The word reserve implies there is something to give the paper receipt value, but no gold or silver backs this paper. The word note implies a contract, because a note, by law, must identify who is paying, what is being paid, to whom, and when. Between 1914 and 1963, Federal Reserve notes never claimed to be money, nor did they claim to be dollars. A note for $5 read as follows:
The United States of America will pay to the bearer on demand $5.
Can a promise to pay $5 be $5? To the left of the president's picture and above the bank seal, it said,
This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve Bank.
In 1963, soon after the assassination of President Kennedy, the Fed began to issue its first series of notes without the promise, while taking notes with the promise out of circulation. Can paper become what it promises by removing the promise? To the left of the president's picture and above the bank seal, it now read,
This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
A note is an IOU. It is evidence of debt. It is not possible to pay off a debt with a debt. No debt can be paid in full unless paid in gold or silver, coined and regulated in value by Congress. The name Federal Reserve Note is a fraudulent label, since each word claims to be something that in reality it is not. By removing the promise to redeem the note in lawful money, the federal government, in cooperation with the Federal Reserve, eliminated the monetary system of the United States as established by the Constitution and replaced it with something totally different. On page 12 of Keeping Our Money Healthy, published by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, it states,
The Federal Reserve System works only with credit.
Credit is not a tangible substance like gold or silver coin. You cannot touch it, nor can you weigh or measure it in dollars like gold or silver coin. Credit exists only in the mind, and it is necessary to control minds to induce the public to accept pieces of paper with numbers on them in place of lawful money. If you are holding a $5 Federal Reserve note, the question you need to ask yourself is, what is it $5 of? The answer is absolutely nothing. The number 5 measures no substance. The only thing that gives paper money value is the confidence people have in it. It is entirely psychological. there are only two economic systems. One is barter, the other is credit. Barter is simply the exchange of one thing of value for something else of value. A monetary system using gold and silver coin is a barter system. Throughout history, many different things have served as a medium of exchange, because money in and of itself does not exist. Something must be used as money. People have traded for goods and services using cows, salt, tea, opium, and tobacco. Gold and silver have been accepted as money worldwide since ancient times. All things used as money have had a common characteristic. They were all tangible wealth. They were all things you could touch. They were all things you could weigh and measure. Credit, on the other hand, is intangible. You cannot touch it, you cannot weigh and measure it, because there is no substance to weigh and measure. It is all imagination. An honest money system uses wealth as a medium of exchange. Wealth is physical, not psychological. People produce wealth through their labor, transforming natural resources into usable products that have exchange value in the marketplace. Gold and silver converted to coin by human labor is wealth. Credit is not wealth. No labor is expended in the creation of credit other than a magician's sleight of hand. Centuries ago, when the goldsmith issued his first receipt for gold that did not exist, he created credit. He also created inflation, because credit and inflation are the same thing. They are both receipts for wealth that does not exist. They are both an imaginary medium of exchange. Remember, paper currency, a money substitute, is honest only when the real money for which it is a substitute equals the number of receipts in circulation. When half of the receipts circulating as a money substitute are redeemable in gold, the other half is both credit and inflation. When none of the receipts are redeemable, all of it is credit and inflation. Credit, bank credit, is inflation. Anything used as a medium of exchange in place of wealth is inflation. When using gold and silver coin as money, there can be no inflation. Therefore, the only cure for inflation is honest money. An honest and sound money system employs just weights and measures. A $10 gold coin is twice as large and twice as heavy as a $5 gold coin. Remember, a dollar is a unit of measurement for gold and silver coin to ensure uniformity of weight, purity, and value. A dollar unit of paper money that is not 100% redeemable in gold or silver coin is a dollar unit of inflation, which is a dollar unit of credit, which is a dollar unit of nothing. The sole function of paper money that is not 100% redeemable in gold or silver coin is to get things without paying for them. Those who issue and control paper money as credit get everything for nothing. Paper money as credit is a device to confiscate wealth using magic with numbers, where numbers of nothing are exchanged for things of substance and value. It was Daniel Webster who said,
"Of all the contrivances devised for cheating the laboring classes of mankind, none has been more effective than that which deludes him with paper money."
Paper money, bogus money, it's been proven throughout history. It deceives you while it bleeds you, as it leads you down to tyranny.
The American Revolution was fought over the issue of money. The colonies created their own paper money and paid it into circulation on public projects until enough taxes could be collected in gold and silver coin to buy back the paper. Colonial scrip, as it was called, was used as a temporary emergency measure to meet the demands of commerce. The rapid growth and prosperity of the colonies attracted the attention of the Bank of England, a private corporation chartered by the British Crown in 1694 and granted an exclusive monopoly to create money out of nothing and loan it into circulation at interest. Having gained control over British industry through frequent depressions caused by manipulating the quantity of paper money, the Bank of England sought to exploit the colonies by seizing control over their money. The British Parliament had no power over the colonies until the campaign by the Bank of England to nullify laws granting the colonies the right to create their own money, making it compulsory that the colonies borrow their money at interest from the Bank of England. This was the true cause of the War for Independence. Benjamin Franklin put it this way:
The colonies would have gladly borne the little tax on tea and other matters, had it not been that England took away from the colonies their money.
When the monetary provisions of the Constitution were being drafted, there were heated debates over whether or not to grant Congress power to emit bills of credit, in other words, print paper money. The colonies knew the agonies of inflation. Paper money that does not maintain its value when it is not an honest claim for wealth, such as gold and silver coin. Oliver Ellsworth, a delegate from Connecticut, who later became this nation's third Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, said,
"This is a favorable moment to shut and bar the door against paper money. The mischief of the various experiments which have been made are now fresh in the public mind and have excited the disgust of all the respectable parts of America."
Roger Sherman, also a delegate from Connecticut and author of the gold and silver coin provision of the Constitution, wrote a scathing condemnation of paper money entitled A Caveat.
Caveat means warning.
Against injustice, in which he said,
"If what is used as a medium of exchange is fluctuating in its value, it is no better than unjust weights and measures, both of which are condemned by the laws of God and man, and therefore the longest and most universal custom could never make the use of such a medium either lawful or reasonable."
And so the framers of the Constitution stipulated a monetary system of gold and silver to be coined and regulated in value by Congress, and prohibited the government from issuing paper money as stated in Article 1, Sections 8 and 10 of the Constitution.
Congress shall have power to coin money and regulate the value thereof. No state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts.
With an honest money system established in the United States, no nation would be able to maintain a dishonest money system for long. And this posed a serious threat to the money power centered in London. The Revolutionary War did not end the battle over who would control the money system of America. The battle continued until the money power of England and Europe and their associates in America achieved victory when Congress, anxious to go home for the Christmas holiday, passed the Federal Reserve Act on December 23, 1913. Congressman Charles A. Lindbergh Sr., father of the famed aviator, told Congress after the vote,
"When the President signs this act, the invisible government by the money power will be legalized."
And so it was. President Woodrow Wilson signed the act into law, turning over the money system of this nation to a group of private bankers and allowing them to create money simply by making bookkeeping entries, loan it at interest, and take title to real property as collateral. As a result, the citizens of the United States lost control over their money system and their government. The Federal Reserve System is modeled after the Bank of England. Though it consists of 12 regional banks, it functions as the nation's central bank. It is where banks go to borrow money and is appropriately called the banker's bank. The Federal Reserve System is a private corporation owned by foreign and domestic banks and operated for profit. The Bank of England, the Bank of France, the Bank of Italy, the Reich Bank of Germany were all founded as privately owned banks and not as government institutions as their names imply. Remember, the essence of psychological warfare is to confuse the meaning of words and infiltrate the mind with conflicting concepts. The international banking establishment operates on the principles of fractional reserve banking that originated with the goldsmith long ago. It is based on the dishonest practice of issuing receipts for more gold than is held on deposit. On page 4 of Modern Money Mechanics, published by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, it says,
"At one time, bankers were merely middlemen. They made a profit by accepting gold and coins brought to them for safekeeping and lending them to borrowers. But they soon found that the receipts they issued to depositors were being used as a means of payment. These receipts were acceptable as money, since whoever held them could go to the banker and exchange them for metallic money. Then bankers discovered that they could make loans merely by giving borrowers their promises to pay, banknotes. In this way, banks began to create money. More notes could be issued than the gold and coin on hand because only a portion of the notes outstanding would be presented for payment at any one time. Enough metallic money had to be kept on hand, of course, to redeem whatever volume of notes was presented for payment.
And when they did not keep enough gold and silver coin on hand to redeem all notes presented for payment, their fraud was exposed and short bankers were hung from tall trees. Under fractional reserve banking, banks create money whenever they grant a loan. It is the act of borrowing that causes it to come into existence. Banks lend money that did not exist until they loaned it. It is a true feat of magic. Banks create money by monetizing debt, the debts of government, business, and the public. Banks literally create money out of less than nothing because a debt is a sum of money due. It is not possible to pay a debt with a debt. And yet, this is what America and the world is using as money. Federal Reserve notes are evidence of debt the U.S. government owes to the owners of the Federal Reserve, the payment of which is guaranteed by the collateral of all property and income of all U.S. citizens. How the U.S. government borrows money from the Federal Reserve is not much different from the Abbott and Costello comedy sketch in their movie Buck Privates, where Bud Abbott wants to borrow $50 from Lou Costello. Listen to their routine and compare it with the explanation of how the Federal Reserve works its magic that follows.
Do me a favor, loan me $50. Schmitty, I can't lend you $50. Oh, yes, you can. No, I can't. All I got is $40, that's all. All right, give me the $40 and you owe me 10. Okay, I owe you 10. That's right. How come I owe you 10? Well, what did I ask you for? 50. And how much did you give me? 40. So you owe me $10. That's right. But you owe me 40. Now, don't change the subject. I'm not changing the subject. You're trying to change my finances. Come on now, give me my $40. All right, there's your $40. Okay. Now, give me the $10 you owe me. I'm paying you on account. On account? On account, I don't know how I owe it to you. That's the way you feel about it? It's the last time I'll ever ask you for the loan of $50. Wait a minute, Smitty. How can I loan you $50 now? All I have is 30. Well, give me the 30 and you owe me 20. Okay, this is getting worse all the time. First I owe him 10, now I owe him 20. Well, why do you run yourself into debt? I'm not running in, you're pushing me. Listen, I can't help it if you can't handle your finances. I do all right with my money. Hey, you're doing all right with mine, too. Now, wait a minute. I asked you for the loan of $50, you gave me 30. So you owe me $20. 20 and 30 is 50. No.
The U.S. government borrows money from the Federal Reserve using the same kind of logic and manipulation of words and numbers as the Abbott and Costello comedy routine. When the U.S. government needs to borrow money, the Treasury creates a bond, which is a fancy word for an IOU, and promises to pay a specified amount of money at a specified interest on a specified date. This bond is evidence of debt, just as an IOU is evidence of debt. This interest-bearing debt is the foundation for this nation's money supply, and its payment is guaranteed by the collateral of all property and income of all U.S. citizens. The Federal Reserve buys this debt simply by making a bookkeeping entry for the amount and writing a check against no funds, and then converts it into paper currency and checkbook money. The U.S. Bureau of Engraving prints the paper currency in whatever denominations ordered by the Federal Reserve and charges about 2 cents for each note, regardless of the denomination, which the Federal Reserve pays for by making another bookkeeping entry and writing another bad check. In effect, the Federal Reserve lends the U.S. government its own credit, our credit, and then charges interest on it. Every dollar created by the Federal Reserve System is debt for the citizens of the United States, which the central bank collects interest on, in addition to the interests from the bonds created by the Treasury that put this magic money-making machine in motion. And it gets worse. The Federal Reserve inflates the amount of the bond in order to make even more loans of imaginary dollars and collect more interest on an investment that cost nothing. Under fractional reserve banking, the amount of money a bank can create is limited by the reserve ratio, or fraction, that it is required to maintain. For example, when the reserve ratio is 10-to-1, a bank can create and loan $10 for each dollar held in reserve. and charge interest on it. While the reserves of the goldsmith were gold, the reserves of the Federal Reserve is paper. Nothing more than bookkeeping entries that are a record of debt. The absurdity of the situation is that if there were no debts, there would be no money, since every dollar of paper currency and checkbook money is loaned into circulation. And in order to pay the interest, there has to be another loan, because the banking system only creates the principal and not the interest. In fact, the interest can never be paid, because it is not possible to return to the bank more dollars than were created, making it inevitable that the Federal Reserve banking system acquire title to all wealth in the nation. This is exactly what the framers of the Constitution intended to prevent when they stipulated a monetary system of gold and silver coin and prohibited the government from issuing paper money, because a nation that uses money based on debt can never be free of debt.
Paper money, it's a federal trick without a treat. It's the source of all inflation and the reasons why your ends don't meet.
The only source of inflation is the Federal Reserve banking system, consisting of the 12 Federal Reserve banks dominated by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York and the nation's commercial banks. Increasing the amount of currency and checkbook money increases inflation. Creating new dollars reduces the value of all dollars, resulting in higher prices. By manipulating the quantity of created dollars, the purchasing power of every dollar is altered. The expansion and contraction of an artificial money supply produces the cycles of prosperity and depression that have long plagued society. Depressions are the result of private bankers reducing the money supply by tightening credit and withdrawing currency, causing a drop in prices, unemployment, and foreclosure of property. This mechanism is premeditated theft. The purpose of the Federal Reserve Act that was given to the public at the time was that it would prevent panics, crashes, and depressions. What the public was not told was that the nation's leading bankers engineered those very events to encourage the public to demand what the bankers wanted. The strategy used is a classic example of Hegelian dialectics, a method to bring about change in a three-step process. The first step is to create a problem. What caused the panics, crashes, and depressions that led to the Federal Reserve Act was the same thing that later caused the crash of 1929 and the Great Depression: manipulating the amount of credit and paper money, just like the goldsmith of old had done. The second step, to what amounts to crisis management, is to create opposition to the problem, an opposing force that will serve as a catalyst for action. For example, create anxiety and fear in the public so that they demand that government do something. The third step is to offer the solution to the problem that will lead to a predetermined goal, thus bringing about change that would have been impossible to impose on people without proper psychological conditioning. By causing emotional stress and mental confusion, judgment is impaired and suggestibility increased. Under these conditions, people can be manipulated into accepting something that is not in their best interest. This was the case with events that led to the Federal Reserve Act, which placed control of America's money system in the hands of private bankers. Thomas Jefferson warned against doing this when he said,
"If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered."
When people conducted all business with gold and silver coin, it was a final transaction where payment was made on the spot, settling debts without delay. All paper currency was redeemable in gold or silver coin, thus conditioning the public to believe that the bank's promise to pay in wealth was as good as gold. By calling gold and silver money, and then calling banknotes money, the two blended together in people's minds so that gradually, over a period of time, the difference between them was erased from public memory. A promise to pay money substituted for lawful money until the promise was removed. Exchanging paper currency is an incomplete transaction until payment is made in gold or silver coin. Until then, it is both credit and debt, a record of a specific amount of money to be paid or received. Credit, which is deferred payment, and debt, which is a sum of money due, are the same thing, which is hidden by deceptive double-entry bookkeeping, where a debt becomes an asset by calling it a credit. Paper money that redeems nothing only appears to have value because it can be exchanged for things of value. When a piece of paper representing debt is exchanged for wealth, someone has been robbed. Paper money expropriates wealth from one person, then from another, and on, until the last person to get it will be stuck with it. What the first user, the bank, gets for nothing, the last user will get nothing for. The sole function of paper money that is not 100% redeemable in gold or silver coin is to get things without paying for them. Those who issue and control bank credit as money get everything for nothing. Bank credit is a device for confiscating wealth using magic with numbers, where numbers of nothing are exchanged for things of substance and value. This grand theft occurs in full view, unnoticed, because the public has been made an accessory to the crime by accepting pieces of paper with numbers on them in place of lawful money, not knowing the difference between the two.
Paper money, worthless money, it's a nation's curse since times of old. Things won't ever get no better till we make the Fed give back our gold.
Under fractional reserve banking, the amount of credit a bank can create is tied to the wealth on deposit for which the currency can be redeemed. This limitation was removed when gold was confiscated from the public to protect the currency system based on that gold. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, people who had gold on deposit in the banks wanted the banks to honor their contract to redeem the paper currency for gold. The fraudulent nature of fractional reserve banking was at risk of being exposed because there was not enough gold on deposit in the banks to redeem all Federal Reserve notes issued promising payment in gold. On March 6, 1933, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, by executive proclamation, declared a national emergency and closed down the banking system for 2 days on the recommendation of the Board of Directors of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. On March 9th, Congress passed the Emergency Banking Act, declaring a national emergency and conferring on the President the extraordinary authority of the War Powers Act in the Trading with the Enemy Act of October 6, 1917, amended to place all money matters of American citizens under its jurisdiction. It became illegal for U.S. citizens to own gold, under penalty of up to a $10,000 fine and/or up to 10 years imprisonment. People turned in their gold and gold certificates in exchange for Federal Reserve notes of created dollars based on debt which bore a promise of redemption in lawful money. The circulation of gold coins and redemption of paper currency for gold ended, leaving silver dollars as the only lawful money available. Silver was eventually eliminated from the money system, leaving the American people with a totally debauched money system of irredeemable paper currency and copper nickel-clad tokens that represent a debt owed to the owners of the Federal Reserve banking system, the payment of which is guaranteed by the collateral of all property and income of all U.S. citizens. When banks cannot honor their contract to redeem their notes for gold or silver coin, they are, in fact, bankrupt. The contract between the people and the Federal Reserve printed on each banknote, promising to pay in lawful money, was invalidated because the system went bankrupt and because the amended version of the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917 placed all U.S. citizens in the category of enemy, and no contract is considered valid between enemies. American citizens were declared to be the enemy by their own government, for indeed they would be if the people ever discovered what had happened to their money. It is the responsibility of honest government to ensure that the money system serve the nation and not enslave the nation. We can be self-governing only when public servants are dependent on something citizens provide. When gold and silver coin were used as money, the people had control over their government. The golden rule of finance is that he who has the gold makes the rules. If the public has the gold, the public makes the rules. If the central government and central bank have the gold, they make the rules. The loss of the right to trade in wealth, such as gold and silver coin, enslaves the people to those who create and control what is being used as money. All it took to enslave America and the world was to convince people that paper and credit are money. The federal government and the Federal Reserve have the power to create unlimited amounts of credit because credit does not exist. It is not a tangible substance, but an idea represented by bookkeeping entries and computer symbols. The distinction between free men and slaves is whether or not they are paid for their labor. He who labors for money that the first user got for nothing is a slave to the first user, the banks. The Constitution established the use of both gold and silver coin as standard money to ensure the equal buying power of every dollar at all times. Honest money is nothing more than a transportation system to move goods and provide services. A credit system is nothing more than a slave system designed to control the population and all economic activity. Deficit spending is as phony as our money and illogical. How does one spend a debt? To pay means to deliver a substance as money, like gold and silver coin. Where there is no substance, there is no payment, only pretended payment. Banks do not really lend, they only pretend to lend. They put no money in a borrower's account. They only make bookkeeping entries that are reduced as the borrower writes checks against imagined deposits. By charging interest on a loan they do not make, banks impart psychological value to numbers of absolutely nothing. Charging interest sustains the illusion that banks loan something of value when all they do is rent illusions. Usury used to be defined as any interest charged for a loan. The modern definition redefines it as excessive interest. Any interest charged for a pretended loan is excessive. Interest, then, should be recognized for what it really is: tribute, a sum of money paid as acknowledgement of submission or as the price for protection. Tribute is extortion by a conqueror over the conquered. The so-called deficit is not really a deficit at all, but an asset the government gets in exchange for its role in the credit-creating scheme of the banking system. As the deficit grows, both government and bank assets grow, because the government and the banks acquire things of value with the credit they create out of debt. Banks should not be allowed to lend what they do not have, which is exactly what banks do. Banks enter credits and debits of nothing. They do not transfer honest dollars of gold and silver coin. What makes a check bad is the same thing that makes fractional reserve banking bad: insufficient funds, or rather no funds, as is the case. The words pay, borrow, and loan are meaningless without the means of payment. No one is paying for anything. Debts are being discharged with debt instruments, but no debts are being settled by payment in honest money, lawful money, constitutional money. There can be no liberty, no justice, no economic freedom without an honest money system. 3 years after signing the Federal Reserve Act into law, President Woodrow Wilson made the following statement:
Our system of credit is concentrated. The growth of the nation, therefore, and all our activities are in the hands of a few men. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government by free opinion, no longer a government by conviction and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and duress of small groups of dominant men.
When using wealth as a medium of exchange, government must receive wealth from its citizens to pay for goods and services. When using credit, government is totally independent of taxes and does not have to pay for anything, which the illusion of taxes conceals from public view. When the only thing on deposit in banks are bookkeeping entries, the honest payment of taxes is no longer possible, because there is no honest money with which to pay. The notion of deficit spending leads the public to believe that the government spends more than it collects in taxes, when in fact Congress spends nothing and wastes nothing because no money goes to Washington as taxes. Taxes sustain the illusion that the numbers people call dollars have value, when gold and silver coin are the only honest money measured in dollars. Though nothing is financed by taxes, consumption, the public's capacity to use up goods and services, is reduced. Subtracting credits from bank accounts reduces consumption and eliminates previously created inflation. Consumption is regulated by taxing money, credit, away from people so they cannot spend it. Phony taxes regulate inflation. It is a safety valve to keep us from being drowned in paper and to keep prices from exploding to phenomenal numbers. A check to the Internal Revenue Service authorizes the transfer of numbers from one bank account to another. When bank deposits are only bookkeeping entries, taxes are an illusion that seem real when banks subtract numbers because there is less to spend. The tax system reduces public allotment of credit in order to destroy some of the bank-created credit so that the bankers and their government can continue to create more credit and with this credit get unlimited goods and services for nothing. This is the great secret and deception of modern money and taxes, the greatest magic show on earth. The Federal Reserve pumps money, credit, into the economy, and the IRS sucks it out of the economy, thus manipulating the purchasing power of the artificial money supply. The IRS is really the collection agency for the Federal Reserve. All so-called dollars collected by the IRS are transferred to the Federal Reserve as payment on the interest of the imaginary national debt. The Secretary of the Treasury is not the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, because the U.S. Treasury was bankrupted in 1933. The Secretary of the Treasury is not paid by the United States government. The Secretary serves as the U.S. Governor of the International Monetary Fund, as receiver of the bankrupt United States, collecting the debt from U.S. citizens. America is owned by its creditors. The bankers own everything. The elaborate Internal Revenue Code, with its convoluted language, special definitions, and references to different chapters, subchapters, sections, and subsections, is nothing but a deep cover for the dishonest, irredeemable paper money credit swindle.
Paper money, funny money, it's a ticket stub to tyranny. Gold and silver is the answer. It will reinstate our liberty. We the people have the power. We can reinstate our liberty.
All the perplexities, confusion, and distress in America arise not from defects of the Constitution, not from want of honor or virtue, so much as from downright ignorance of the nature of coin, credit, and circulation.
A nation that uses money based on debt can never be free of debt.
The Federal Reserve System works only with credit.
Congress shall have power to coin money and regulate the value thereof. No state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts.
Wake up, America!
Wake Up America, written and produced by Stephen Jacobson. MCIA Media, Mind Control in America Media. Breaking the chains that bind the mind. Post Office Box 15734. Winston-Salem, North Carolina 27113. The song Paper Money, written, produced, and performed by Carl Klang.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Wake up world, okay? It's the same scheme is played in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, England, and basically everywhere in the world. It's the same money racket, all under the umbrella of the Vatican. And boy, I've been doing this for so long, you know, I'm so tired of this. I can't wait to get off the spinning merry-go-round, you know, planet Earth, and just and go back to where we come from. It's because that's right. The famine. Thank you, Sandra. They engineered our famine. There's no need for starving people in the world. We could have a paradise, but they don't want that. They have to keep the chattel confused and pitted against each other. They want us looking at each other and against upset with each other. Men against women. White against black, big against small, poor against rich, all the phony arguments. So we'll never get the picture that we got a bunch of people running the show that are the real enemy of mankind, and they've received title to all property in America, and they gave us nothing. When you get your bank loan, you sign your life away, and they gave you nothing but an illusion. You're the only one who signed the contract, a unilateral contract. Where's the other secondary party signing on that paper? You created the money. You monetized it with your ink on your pen when you pressed it to the paper. Your credit. Because here in America, we have unlimited credit. That was one of the exchanges that they made in the emergency when they took away our banking system. So it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all a shell game, but their police state keeps things running, though they've introduced heroin, they're involved in all of the schemes that are ruining our world. Okay. It's just a tragic world, ladies and gentlemen, but to change the subject real quick, if you want to support your health, you can do that, and you can support this radio broadcast at the same time. You can be a part of the Master Force group. Okay, the Master Force group are those who have woke up and taken that red pill and are attempting in their own way to make it a better world. But if you go to healthwalk.basicreset.com, healthwalk.basicreset.com, you can support your health and this ministry. You can get your own online health food store for free by signing up with them. And when you share it with others, like through your YouTube channel, then you also can, earn commissions and help pay your funny bills with your funny money. Okay, it's we're in the matrix. Okay, and we can't get away from that funny money. You know that. And Sandra is saying you lose your house, car, and everything if you get caught with a lot of marijuana. Okay, that's you're talking about Australia. Yeah. While all the Freemasons are smoking it up at the party, right? And then in the daytime they arrest you all. I know it's a wonderful world, Mrs. Smith. But look, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just let you know that I'm trying to do my part with bringing on this educational forum of education. No, forgive me. We don't want education. That means what they removed from your curriculum and your brain. No, we don't want to edit anything. Edit means to remove. But we want to be a lightning rod here of enlightenment and help our friends to unravel the great mystery. I had a wonderful vision of something I want to do now after hearing Carl Klang. I've got some of his music. It's just a mind blower. These are ballads from last century. Like dealing with Waco and all others. I got to find that audio because it'll be a great special evening if I can find it. Okay, but I was gonna do Words That Kill and the Piracy of Words and what have you. But you've been hanging in there. I know it's Friday night and may need to get back with family, so gonna let you have at that. We're on the journey together now. No matter how we look at it, and we need each other in spirit and also in camaraderie. To be there till they pull the plug. When they pull the plug, we won't be saying hello to anybody anymore. No telephone, no computer, only paper airplanes and prayers. That's about all we'll have. And So I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. And Stephen Jacobson can use your prayers too. He's toughed it out ever since he did that work. You know, as it says, no good deed goes unpunished. And it's been pretty punishing, ladies and gentlemen, to be a truth teller. And yeah, Ninja, we'll look forward to you. Oh, it's Saturday morning there. Well, tomorrow morning will be Saturday here, and we'll be playing it again, Sam. Okay. And yeah. All right. Well, I just want to remind you that we're here twice a day, 9 a.m. Eastern Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Telling it like it is, because somebody's got to do it. And don't forget, if you want to know the future, you just need to look for the Forbidden History series. It's what they didn't want you to know, though we tell right here. I'm Desert Owl, thanking you for tuning in. Do tell your friends. Let's have a revolution in thinking and help us make the little tomorrows that we have left a better world. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you. And thank you, Ninja. Good night, Jedi.